So you've just installed your mini split ductless system, and now you're left with all your line set exposed, and you're trying to find the best way out there to cover those lines and make it look as nice as possible. And you probably found out that most of the cover that you can find online are actually just 3-inch cover, and they will not allow you to fit multiple zone within them. And when you look at this and the size of the bundle that I have here, you will need definitely something much bigger to get this done. I'll show you how to install this large line set cover, and here is the kind of the result you can expect to get. Obviously, you can also paint those to match the color of your house. So here is the material that I got. As you can see, this is mostly a few kits that will come with a straight line, and also you will need all the connection, meaning elbows, T connection, and also the connection back to the hole wherever the line set is sticking out of your wall. I would advise you to do a little bit of planning and take a lot of measurements so that you don't necessarily overbuy equipment. And the best way to do that is that once you're actually done setting all your line set, you will be able to measure everything and count how many elbows and how many T's you'll need. And that will allow you to get a really good estimate of what you'll need to order to make your install. The first step before really starting to install any of the line set cover would be to actually use some foam inside all the holes where you have those covers sticking out from the house to the exterior, because you don't want any kind of draft or any sort of hair being able to make its way through, through your wall inside your house. I still have exposed copper lines at the location where I have the connections made, and so I would advise you to just add insulation at those locations to prevent the lines from sweating. So for this piece, which is the one going at the connection with the house, as you can see, there's no way of putting this on unless I cut a slit to it. I'm guessing they're assuming that you would put this on before you actually do the final connection of your system, which is kind of unlikely. So anyway, in my case, we're just gonna cut a slit here so that I can move this piece and slide it behind the line sets. So I found those pieces actually pretty flexible, which was nice, and so usually using a hacksaw or a jigsaw would be the best way to cut pieces if needed. So I now made that slit, which will allow me to easily install that piece. I have wood siding, and so I decided to use those construction screws to attach the line set cover to my exterior walls. Installing the piece is pretty straightforward. Once I slide it in place, I decided to just add one screw to really hold it in place, and then check the levelness with a level to make sure that you're really dead vertical, and then just add additional screws to really set it in place. So as you can see here, you're really gonna have to be careful with how you measure the length of your lights and cover piece. As you can see, the cover actually goes in a little bit, and you'll probably have to add an additional inch on each side. A good way to get your measurement is really to set two pieces, as you can see here, the top piece and then the corner piece at the bottom, and that will allow you to get a good measurement for exactly the length you'll need, taking into account that 1-inch inset on both ends. So I did find that using a jigsaw was actually one of the best way to cutting the line set cover. I believe that I used a sheet metal type blade, and that was really good and super easy to get my cuts done and really getting a really nice and straight cut. There will already be a pre-punched out location to put your screws to attach the line set cover to your wall. I found that it was much easier to pre-drill those, as I wasn't able to really punch them out that easily. The next step is just to slide in that piece and verify that it is indeed vertical. Once that's done and that it's set really the way it should be into the slits at the top of the bottom, you can go ahead and add a screw to set it in. I would not put screws all the way to the bottom, because you will need enough clearance and flexibility at the bottom to be able to slide the piece, which was in my case an elbow piece. Now that everything has been set in place, you can go ahead and finally attach everything with your screws. As you're working your way and find more exposed pieces of copper lines, just add some pieces of insulation which you can simply connect with zip ties and hold it in place. You will also find the vertical line set cover pieces come with some tabs which can slide up and down on a rail. So the idea is that you get 2 tabs per piece, and so you want one at the top and one at the bottom, and you can slide a zip tie through that tab to make sure that you will attach that bundle of line to the tab. So I used this to temporarily hold it together when I was putting the system up. So the kit will come with coupler pieces whenever you have long run that you will need to run multiple pieces. If you order additional pieces, which I did, make sure to order additional couplers or you won't be able to connect them together. So as usual, you will set your piece in place, make sure that it's leveled, and then you can go ahead and fasten it to the siding. So follow the same logic as you keep going, adding your pieces and your fasteners as you're making progress. I wanted to really show you this area here at the top where, as you can see, I was not able to get really a flat piece, and it actually ended up being angled, which to be honest really made things more challenging. I actually ended up having to cut the pieces at certain locations to make it fit properly. So I would advise you to really think maybe more than I did when you install your line set, and make sure that you only have straight horizontal or vertical runs to avoid being in a situation when you will have to cut pieces to make it work. So the key really to get your installation the proper way is that you always want to pretty much put your connection pieces as I'm doing with that T, and then that's how you'll get really your measurements, and kind of, I mean, you just want to play this like you're assembling Legos. You want to dry fit it and then really make sure that the lengths are correct, and then slowly add everything together. As you can see here, again, I ended up with an angled pieces. I managed to make it work because, again, those pieces are big enough and flexible enough that you can really play around it. But again, I would advise you to be as careful as possible to keep everything either vertical or horizontal. Now I'm really trying to finish up and install the last T, which you can see is very crowded. You probably saw in the previous one that I actually added a piece of 4x4 to hold everything together because that really simplified the installation. And once I secured that T in place, then I was able to add the vertical and the horizontal piece connecting to it. So again, you're gonna have to take a minute to measure everything properly. And then yeah, I was getting pretty excited at this point because I was finally ready to put the last piece in. And man, that did feel like a really huge relief to be finally done with that part, at least. We're getting close to wrapping up this installation, and so at this point now we are going to install the outer side of the cover, and you need to be very careful on how you measure those. Here, for example, it would go all the way, as I'm showing, to that 43-inch because that's how long you want that outer piece to be. Again, you're going to be able to cut those really easily with a jigsaw or hacksaw, and the blue is actually just a film that that's there to protect the plastic that you can remove before installation. And here I am showing you a close-up of all those things fit together, so that you can really get a good idea of you are actually supposed to put it together. Once you clip it inside, you will see that there is different level, there's different little notches, and it's up to you to decide how shallow or how deep you want the line set cover to be. I think you have about 4 different settings. So let's take a minute to talk about the cover of the connection, either an elbow or here is the top piece. You will see that those will come with little screws, which they call cam screws, And interestingly enough, I really thought that those would screw in, because if you look at the end, it kind of almost looks like it's threaded, but it doesn't at all. All it does it will slide in, and you only have to rotate it 90 degrees, and then it will just expand into the hole and lock it into place. So as you can see here, the cover actually goes over the line set piece so that everything fit together nicely. And then it's up to you again. You can decide how big you want this thing to be, and then usually you'll just push it so that it matches where your line set cover is. Once you've got the proper depths, all you have to do is really just insert those cam screws into place, so inside those holes, and then to lock it up into place, you will just have to get a flathead screwdriver and turn them 90 degrees, and they will just lock into place. And yeah, it actually works really well, because once those are engaged, you will not be able to like pull it off. It will really stay in place. At this point, you will follow the same logic, which is that you will install the main pieces first. Make sure that you will prop those to the right depths to match the rest of your installation, and then install all the connection pieces, which could be couplers or any other of the T or elbow section. So remember earlier I was mentioning that area which was angled and was kind of a difficult area to deal with. As you can see here, it wasn't matching, and I couldn't get the covers to really fit together. And so my last result was to use my jigsaw and really kind of cut a slit so that it would fit better together. So as you can see, I was really getting close to being done, and that felt pretty awesome. I was just putting the final pieces in, making sure that everything fits. So again, I had a little challenges here and there, and which is why I made this video, hopefully to help you out, figure out that this is actually something you can do, and you don't necessarily need to pay someone to cover your line set. I think this is totally doable. I will add a link below for the website where you can purchase this line set cover if you believe that it would be a good fit for you. If you enjoyed this video, definitely check out some of the other step-by-step video that I made. I do believe that you will find great value in them as well.